Look, I think that's where the old orphanage was, said Rob, as they looked across the road from the Tyne Bridge towards Redheugh. I'm not sure, said Carla, and I do like the view, but I'm freezing. Annoyingly, Rob found a gap in the traffic and hurried across the road, then fumbled in his camera bag. Well, he needn't think she was going to follow him. For some reason, she was always embarrassed when he stopped to take photos in public. It looked sort of geeky. The bridge wasn't the ideal place to keep warm in late October, but at least the sun was still struggling through the clouds. It was already low in the sky, and in a few minutes' time it would be getting dark, but for now the views over the river were impressive. The girl shambling towards Carla was striking in a different way. She was small and young, no more than 16, but in a terrible state. Carla didn't think she'd ever seen anybody as dirty and unkempt. Her dark hair was long and matted. She seemed to be clothed in layers of greyish-brown rags. Although she might be pretty underneath, her face was greasy, disfigured with spots, and she smelt as if she hadn't had a bath for weeks. It was hardly surprising that she looked distraught. Looking straight through Carla, she hurried past and headed for the bridge's parapet. "Are you all right?" shouted Carla. The girl looked back at her with a baffled expression, as if amazed that anyone would speak to her. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. "Yeah, the forced soul what's asked us that for months," she said eventually. Her Geordie accent was so broad that it took a second or two to understand. "Since you are asking, why, no, I'm not." To be honest, Carla didn't really want to get involved and didn't know what to say to this. "Well, is there anything I can do?" she asked half-heartedly. "I'm beyond help. I'm a loose woman, nae good for out. Paying for our sins, they say, but I canna pay nae mair. I've had enough." She could see Rob looking across at them from the other side of the bridge, with a strange, baffled expression on his face. Their eyes met briefly, but then Rob lifted his camera to his face and looked away over the river. A lot of help he is, she thought angrily. Hearing the desperation in the girl's voice, it was impossible not to feel sorry for her. But what could she do? Suddenly Carla jumped forward in alarm. "No!" The young girl was climbing onto the wall at the eastern side of the bridge, as if about to jump off. Desperately, Carla tried to grab her leg, but she was determined. She wriggled free, pushed the small object into Carla's hand, and with a sob, threw herself off the wall. There were a few horrible seconds when Carla could hear her despairing wail as she plummeted more than 80 feet into the river. There was a huge splash as she hit the water and then bobbed to the top. Although it was still daylight, Carla didn't see her go down. Her outline became hazy and blurred. Rather than sinking into the water, it seemed to merge into it. There was no thrashing or struggling. The girl just vanished. "Where is she?" Carla asked herself. No good dithering, she told herself. Within seconds she was calling 999 on her mobile. "Rescue service and ambulance, please. Tyne Bridge. A woman's just jumped in the river." She couldn't believe that Rob was still snapping away, apparently unaware of anything happening. At last he looked up, and she angrily gestured to him to come back. The traffic was heavy with very few gaps. He was panting when he got to the other side. "Did you not hear that?" asked Carla. "A girl's just jumped in the river." "You're kidding me." "Well, didn't you see? Or hear the scream?" "The traffic's noisy, but no, At least I don't think so. I just saw you. Looked like you were talking to yourself. Are you sure? Do you think I'm insane? It's hardly something you can make a mistake about." Rob stared over the bridge into the dark water. "Where is she?" "Well, that's the worst thing. She just seemed to disappear." The next hour was horrible. The police rescue boat arrived within minutes, and the ambulance quite a while after that. About 20 minutes, she thought. By then it was dark. The wind had got up, and she felt chilled right through. It hardly mattered that the ambulance was late. The searchlights and sonars had found nothing. The girl had evidently drowned within seconds, and it seemed the police didn't even believe her story. Not a single other person had seen the incident, and even Rob would make no more than a token attempt to confirm what she said. She was ditching him for a start. Carla was so upset at being branded a liar, or worse, a woman with delusions, that she almost called off her visit to her grandma that evening. But Nana would have been on her own all day and was looking forward to seeing her. She was late anyway. She'd better get a move on. Nana didn't miss much and spotted straight away that Carla's makeup was smudged. "Been crying, pet? That's not like you," she said as they both sat down in their grandma's small bungalow. "I know it's stupid, but I've had such an awful day," said Carla. She went through the whole thing, shivering on the bridge, talking to the ragged girl, seeing her jump off, and then the farce with the police and rescue services, and being let down by Rob. While she told her story, Nana's behaviour was strange. When Carla got to the bit about the girl disappearing in the water, Nana stopped looking her in the eye and seemed to fix her attention on her sideboard, where all her old photos stood. "This girl," asked Nana, "was she small with very dark hair, a bit like yours?" Yes, I suppose she was." "How did you know?" "Well," Nana said, "remember I told you I was adopted? I didn't tell you about the carry-on I had to find out who my real mother was, or why I kept quiet about her. I never used to believe in ghosts." Slowly she got up, rummaged in the top drawer, and brought out an old yellowed newspaper cutting. Sitting down again, she pushed it towards Carla. "Sunday Sun, December the 16th, 1928, read Carla. "Tragic suicide of young mother. The coroner today returned a verdict of suicide on Margaret Herdman, 15, of Oakwell Gate, Gateshead. He said Miss Herdman was in a deep depression after having a child out of wedlock and giving up the child for adoption. She was so depressed that on the afternoon of Wednesday, October the 31st this year, she threw herself off the new Tyne Bridge into the river and drowned there." "Yes," said Nana, her eyes moist. "She was my mother. What she must have gone through." Suddenly Carla remembered what the girl had given her just before she jumped. She had tried to show it to Rob, but thought she had lost it. Now she rummaged in her pocket and found it. Its style was old-fashioned, nothing like the ones that were made now. The rubber had long ago perished so that it couldn't be used. A baby's dummy.